Hello and welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Football with me, Tunde, Koiki, and of course, Bankole is here as well. Of course, Wednesday Night Football talks about all the major talking points in both normal football, that's association football, and of course the American version as well. Thank you so much for joining us, Bimbo. Always a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me, always.
I want to start the show on a very interesting note. So over the past 1 week or so, there's been a very, do I say despicable incident regarding racism in world sports. Also, it actually happened in Italy concerning the former Ghanaian international footballer Sule Muntari, where he was racially abused. He approached the referee in the game, indicating that the game he would be racially abused. He wanted the referee to stop the game and do something about it. The referee in question claimed that he had heard nothing and gave Sule Muntari a yellow card for protesting. And when Muntari, actually going out to truly protest, walked off the pitch, he was given another yellow card, which means that he received 2 yellow cards, which meant he would serve out a 1-game suspension. Originally, the Italian football authorities upheld this ban before they overturned it. But it's been a massive specter in the world sports, the racism issue regarding Sule Muntari. Not only that, the fact that it continues to be a huge problem worldwide, especially in Europe, actually, especially in Europe. But for some reason, it hasn't got it's racism is not a big issue anymore in American sports, is it, Bimbo? Because you wonder why, with a country that has a tremendous amount, a huge population of black people. I think like 5% of the American population is black, if not more. But for some reason, racism has been. I wouldn't say it doesn't exist, right. But it's not as visible as you would find in mainland Europe.
Unfortunately, it's not, and I think
fortunately,
fortunately, it's not as significant in the United States. Sports in the United States. I think primarily because, let's face it, just about every major sports in the United States is dominated by African Americans and even the minority. So I think if there's any act of racism shown towards African American athletes or players,
that might shut the sport down
completely. I mean, let's take it. Remove the minority of African Americans from the NBA and see what you got. How many people are going to watch the NBA? Let's not even go into the NFL and all these other things. But before I even go too far, I want to just tip my hat to Sule Muntari for what he did. I saw a special he did for BBC where he spoke about being strong and speaking up. It's very positive. It's a good thing, but it's unfortunate that for Sule Muntari to react that way, something like that had to happen in the first place. Racism in soccer in Italy is not new. It's always going to be there. There's a silent to almost pronounced racism in Europe. I think even guys in Spain go through it. But it's unfortunate that you can have someone come to your town, your city, your local area to play a sport or play a position for your local team, to win awards and laurels for your team, and you reward him by calling him a monkey. I don't know. I think that the touchy thing about racism is it's never going to go away. It's always going to be there. Even if you remove soccer from the planet, there's still going to be those same people will show their racist backsides on another sport or in another situation.
I mean, I don't understand. I mean, someone leaves his family, his comfort zone, everything is known and everything is loved. He goes thousands of miles away trying to earn a living for his family, and you subject him to some absolutely inhuman form of abuse because you feel that you're genetically or racially superior to him. But the question really is not the fact that racism exists. The problem is not that racism exists. The problem is how can we, stamp it out to the barest minimum like it exists in American sports. In American sports, you almost never hear about it. Maybe the media does a great job of covering it up. I don't know. But from what we see in this part of the world, you never hear anything regarding racist insults in American sports. What kind of controls do we think that we can start bringing into sports, especially football, to ensure that racism is stamped out completely? Really?
Well, I mean, I think what's nearly impossible is you can't actually tell by the fan or the stadium attendee or the game person just by looking at them and say, oh, this one is a racist person, or he's going to say something racist at the game. If we were in one of those Total Recall or Back to the Future movies, maybe we can, but we're not there yet. So I think it's just a matter of punishing the people that come out to these games by maybe banning them from the game, maybe even a lifetime ban, and never allow them to play or never allow them to see or watch games at that stadium or any other stadium altogether. But I think it's a very huge challenge. It's really a very huge challenge. And, again, kudos to these guys that go out to some of these countries, knowing what they're walking into, like you said, and leave their families and everything else to make a living in this hard and harsh conditions. But it's a hard task to completely rid racism.
Yeah, but what do you think people can do?
Well,
especially in football, what do you think they can do?
I think they should the only thing you can do is just ban someone like that and just stop them from coming to the game. If you ban them for 6 months, does that mean that they will not say it again? I don't know.
How about a lifetime ban?
A lifetime ban, I'm fine with that. I'm very fine with them never being allowed to come to that stadium. And then, then if they're repeat offenders,
it's pretty harsh, giving someone a lifetime ban from a stadium.
Well, some people will argue that, they're exercising their right to, freedom of speech or expression and that kind of stuff. But then
your right to call someone say that someone is subhuman, that's a right.
Well, I think that is that's the thing about argument with rights,
and that's the thing about freedom. People tend to take it a bit too far.
I think a wise man once said your right and your freedom to raise your hand up as far as you can stops at the tip of somebody's nose.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. I think it's a huge thing to give someone a lifetime ban based on a racist comment or any act of racism. But there needs to be some way that this thing can be curbed, because until that happens, a lot of these guys are going to face it. They're going to hear it all the time.
Let me ask you a question, Bimbola. Are black people racist?
Are we racist as black people? I think that we are.
Is it because we've never been... It's an interesting question. Is it because we've never been put in a position whereby, I'm trying to flip the script on its head right now.
Well, I
there was never any white slavery with black people, but from the little that you know of black people having traveled extensively around the world, the United States and Africa as well, do you think we're racist? Or
I think we
that slave mentality where we believe that white people are superior to us in some kind of funny way?
You know what's actually funny is that I still see the approach, in parts of the world and also here in our country, Nigeria, where we still seem to subject ourselves to a below the other than black person way, where, I've seen, it goes as far as even, some expats that work in the country anyway, some Nigerians treat them almost like they're demigods. But as black people or Africans or whatever, are we racist? I think we do have some racist ones amongst us, yes, because, let's not even, we spoke about xenophilia the other day in South Africa. That's definitely racism against your own color, So we do have our own racist ways. I think some people try to clean it up by saying we're tribalistic. That's what we use here. I grew up in Nigeria.
But, if we had I don't know, like Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi played in Africa, do you think?
No, we wouldn't. That's the interesting thing. If let's say, for instance, what's the guy that came from Mr. Quest, right? That came from CNN tonight to Lagos. Richard Quest. He was here, and I think we treated him like a president.
So much love.
Yeah, so much love from every black Nigerian he met.
Is it because we're nice, or is it because we don't? I don't know. I just don't want to get into
I think it's because Nigerians altogether, we're all about hospitality.
Yeah.
We're great hosts. We like to show off. Until he met the man that said Senegal's jollof rice.
Yeah, that's for information.
Yeah, unfortunately for him. But I think
he didn't have too much information.
No, at all. His era is over. I don't even know why he met with Quest. But the thing is, I think we are just very hospitable people in Nigeria, and that's it's by default, and I think that's why so much has been there's so many people that are not Nigerians that have made so much wealth out of our country, because we bring and we allow and we welcome and we embrace them like, okay, you're part of us. And I think where the hospitality ends, which is natural for human beings, is when a certain line is crossed. But naturally, Nigerians are very hospitable people, and so that's why Richard Quest was able to take so many pictures on. Or should he walk past bridges?
Never harassed, never molested. So I think Italy can actually learn. Italy and the rest of Europe can actually learn plenty from Nigerians on how to welcome strangers in their midst. Talking about welcoming the strangers in their midst, the Super Eagles team is welcoming. The Super Eagles camp is welcoming at least 3 new faces. after the Super Eagles manager Gernot Rohr only dropped a list for the campaign exercise and friendly matches in Corsica. They'll also say they'll play the national team of Corsica and also the national team of Burkina Faso as well. 4 players from the Nigerian Professional Football League were called up. Of course, Ikechukwu Ezenwa from FC Farmingba is a regular face, he's a goalkeeper, always makes the team list. But 3 players who have never been called up to any national to any of the Super Eagles actually made that list. Alassane Ibrahim from Akwa United, who scored 10 goals so far. League top scorer Stephen Ode with 14 goals also makes that list. While Sikiru Olatubosun, who won the CNN Goal of the, I think it was the Goal of the Month award, was 2 months ago with a cracking effort for his club, MFM Football Club of Lagos. They've also received call-ups as well. So, interestingly, this is the first time that these 3 of these 4 are being called up. So much talk has been said about, Coach Gernot Rohr. Gernot Rohr is German, by the way, who is incidentally married to a Madagascan. So he has plenty of African flavor.
So he eats jollof rice.
Yeah, I'm not sure they eat jollof rice in Madagascar. But so there's so much talk about the fact that players in the Nigerian Professional Football League have been marginalized. They never really get a fair crack of the whip in terms of call-ups to the national teams. A lot of people have said that they do not have that requisite mentality or just that little bit of finesse that is required to play at international football level.
Yes.
But he's giving these 3 players a chance so he can take a greater look at them, a closer look at them, and possibly they can probably fit into his plans going forward. We've talked about this extensively in the past, but what is your take on this? Do you feel that players in the Nigerian Professional Football League still lack a little bit of polish? Because playing in Nigeria and playing with a green jersey on your back, a crest on your chest, hearing the national anthem being played, playing on the international stage is a different ballgame entirely.
Very different. I still believe that we are far from that era where we once were, where the local, players who represent
made up the bulk of it. In fact, in the 80s, there was a game, was an international game that was to be played with Nigeria and another West African country. I can't remember, but the Football Federation then took the entire first team of a club. I think it was NNB of Benin. They were doing pretty well at that time. So hey, the federation just took that entire team, hook, line, and sinker, and took them to the qualifier and played it.
Well, I mean, we've been down that road before. It's not like it's like Nigeria's never really fielded the local players in the Nigerian Football League. But I just think now with the advancement of football and how football has become a complete science, so to speak, the guys in our league here, and because of the level of play in our league, it's a challenge for many of them. By right, based on their performance, I like the fact that the coach is bringing them in. Even if they never wear or never play a game, maybe if they played the last injury time, whatever it is, they need it. They need that interaction with all these guys that are playing on a bigger, more advanced level. So they need that camaraderie within themselves, and it also adds confidence for any player coming out of this league that okay, fine.
I can play with the best.
I can play with these guys, and that starts from practice. Obviously the guys if I was called up from the Nigerian National League here and you put me on a training squad with guys playing in Juve or the Premier League or Italian Serie A, my practice attitude would be different from them because they're working on, they have nothing to prove. I watch them on TV, they don't watch me. So when we come to practice, my attitude will be different. I will run for every pass, I will throw every throwing. I would even say, coach, let me play goalie. I would do everything because I have a lot to prove.
Hunger.
And the hunger there, the desire to be able to match up with these guys. And I think that's what will make them better players. So kudos to the guys that made it so far. 4, I think that's
out of the
not
23-man squad.
Yeah, I think that's not much. I think if we can go
some form of
6,
representation.
well, at least it's good. If 4 is way better than 0. Yeah. So I think it's a good thing for them. I think it's also good for their self-confidence and also the confidence of other players in the Nigerian Football League that know that, okay, even now, maybe even if it's only the 4 spots we have, I will play my football to that level to where the next call-up is probably me.
Interestingly, one of the players on this list, the league top scorer, Stephen Ode, he was involved in a massive controversy with his club just over 2 weeks ago. He skipped out of the country, ostensibly to try out with the Danish club without the knowledge of his club. There's so much back and forth whether he was really truly owned by the club, whether he was on loan, but he skipped out. We're going to have trials. We don't know how the result of those trials because the leagues are not, the transfer windows are not open in any of the major leagues in Europe. But it continues to show the fact that many of these players regard Europe as the ultimate destination for their careers, where they can play a better quality of football. They can earn a better standard of living as well. So a lot of people this boy has received plenty of flack from Nigerians everywhere, saying that you scored 14 goals in the league. Why don't you stay and finish the league? And maybe you might end up as top scorer as well. Maybe break a long-standing goal record, get a place in the Nigerian national team. But there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees that he might not break his leg the next day. There's no guarantees that he might not score another goal until the end of the season. So, do you blame these players when they see these opportunities to move abroad and take it?
I don't blame them, to be very honest. I don't blame them because if you look at
society in general.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at society,
because I read a report that says the country has lost 15,000 medical doctors to the rest of the world over the past 3 years.
Oh yeah, if
15,000.
Yeah, if you visit the Arab Emirates, there's so many Nigerian doctors there working and living
in the United States.
Let's even count that one. But the thing I kind of look at is the fact that, let's take for instance Emmanuel Adebayo now. Emmanuel Adebayo is one footballer that shows where and how accomplished he is. Since playing football. I believe that there's a lot of guys in our league that probably maybe as talented or maybe better than Adebayo that's still playing the league. But if you compare say this guy now wins the leading scorer for the Nigerian Football League, then what? He has nothing to show for it. So for that is enough motivation for these guys to want to play somewhere else. I mean, like European basketball players, they're good, they're great players in the European League. But a lot of them still want to play in the NBA,
of course, because
it's the next level. It's that level that brings a different side of you. And if you're a competitive player or a competitive athlete, you've always gone for that next level. So playing in the Nigerian league for many of these guys is not the level. And until that league becomes that level, they'll always want to opt out.
You're being owed salaries and allowances for months.
Exactly.
You travel in some of the most abhorrent conditions possible. The officiating is not up to scratch. Some of the facilities used are not great as well. Of course, you do know the power of foreign exchange now.
Of course.
You have the chance to change not only your life, but the life of your dependents, your family as well. So I really can't blame many of these players for skipping out of the country. And like Bimbo said, until the Nigerian Professional Football League is at a level where these players can earn a decent living for themselves and they also get respect from the handlers of the national team, nobody's going to stop them from taking their chances abroad.
No, I mean,
I totally agree with Bimbo.
It is because the unfortunate thing, we have an average salary in this country that's just, it's a shame. So imagine playing on the harsh conditions in the Nigerian Football League, and then your salary is maybe supposedly a little bit higher than the average salary.
That's 120,000, and by the way, that salary is not guaranteed.
It's not even guaranteed. You can play for a whole season.
Well, let's talk about from one thing that is not guaranteed to something else that is absolutely guaranteed. FIFA has guaranteed Africa 9 slots at the expanded FIFA World Cup that will begin from 2026. Of course, you know that earlier this year, FIFA Council agreed to expand the World Cup from 32 teams to 48 teams. By doing so, FIFA, that's CAF, that's the Confederation of African Football, will get 9 automatic slots, or 9.5 as they call it, because you might actually be 10, because the 10th team will be involved in an intercontinental playoff with 5 other teams for 2 slots. So that's 1 team from Africa, 1 team from Oceania, and all around. You just pick them somehow.
Right.
And all of them play off together in a round-robin format.
Okay.
The top 2 teams will qualify for the FIFA World Cup, joining 46 already qualified teams to make 48. So FIFA World Cup might see as many as 10 African teams as well. So much talk about the FIFA World Cup and its new expansion. I don't know. I have my thoughts about it. I believe when you start making it such a huge affair, it begins to water down the quality of the football that we might see on display.
Exactly.
I mean, a lot of people are still unhappy that the European Championships is now 32 teams as against 16 when it used to be. A lot of people are not happy about that. I mean, some are unhappy that like the likes of Albania, but those who are arguing for Albania also are particularly happy with the likes of Iceland, who brought a lot of color, a lot of flavor to the FIFA or to the European Championships as well. There's also the fact that a 48-team World Cup is virtually impossible for one single host to host. For example, for the 2026 edition, we heard that there's going to be a North American bid. It's Canada, the United States, and Mexico banding together to host the 2026 edition. The United States will host 60 matches. Mexico and Canada will get 10 matches each. So let me just start by asking, what do you think about this new 9 slots, automatic slots for Africa, and FIFA's decision to expand the FIFA World Cup from 32 to 48 teams? I've said my piece, but I'm really interested in what you have to say, Bimbola.
I think it's, I don't know, I know football people will probably kill me for saying this, but
well, people argue for inclusion already.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea, but do we really need it right now? Because okay, you send 9 teams from Africa. If I wanted to be a devil's advocate, I would say that this is just a way for countries like Albania to qualify from their group. Because how do you qualify from your group? You need to beat someone.
We might see Comoros or Djibouti.
So imagine a country like that going into the World Cup. Yeah, you know, it's good color, you know, it's good for Africa, but what can they really do when they get there? And I think some of those things need to be looked at. Yeah, understood. Yeah, it adds the flair. And as Africans, well, yes, we want 9. People are going to say, oh, well, you know, it's for Africa. But there are teams that are happy about this because it allows a watered-down group for many of them. You know, those teams that were not even going to be the best losing team in the group. Now look at the fact that, you know what, just put me in a group with Chad or Niger Republic. Hopefully Niger qualifies. Or Mauritania. So we'll be in the same group and definitely we'll come out of that group. Because some people
are arguing already that, I mean, we see World Cup qualifying groups right now that has the likes of Nigeria, Cameroon, and Algeria in the same group. Those are 3, and Zambia, those are all 3 of them are former African Nations Cup winners. All 3 of them are African football superpowers, as they were. So some people say that it's ridiculous that each of these teams, you know, are World Cup qualifiers in their own right. But even back in the day, we've had the likes of Togo against all odds qualifying for the Africa Cup, for the FIFA World Cup. Angola against all odds. I don't know. I really want to know your take. Is this a good idea, or you think it's?
I think the only way the idea can actually work for
because FIFA, sorry to cut you short, FIFA is saying it wants a more inclusive World Cup. Right. They don't want it to be restricted to, you know, some certain set of people. Everybody make it like a global party. Everybody can come, show up, blah blah blah.
Well, I think the only way to work, in my own eyes, and for it to be more well represented as African and the best teams of Africa, go through your top 9 teams. Put them in different groups. Don't put Nigeria, Cameroon, Algeria in one group and then the best one comes out and then you have 2 top teams in Africa go and then the 7 mediocre ones. You know, let's face it, as African as I am, there's some teams that shouldn't even make the World Cup, not now, maybe in the next 20 years. But I think what we need to do as CAF needs to look at is, okay, FIFA has given us an opportunity to represent ourselves and show what we really can do in football. Don't send the teams, don't put the teams that can actually display and go out and fight for Africa in the same group. You're making it easier for the World Cup. Separate the top best teams.
Which is what will most likely happen.
They have to do that. Separate the best teams, put them in different groups, then let all these new teams that want to fight to play at the World Cup, let them come and fight in each group. So fine, if a team like Chad or Niger Republic comes into the same group as Algeria and tops the group, then good. Then we know they play football there at the World Cup. But if you put all the best teams and then you put Niger, Chad, what's another team? Botswana, right? Djibouti in the same team, and then Djibouti wins and goes to represent Africa. They're going 0-3 in the first round.
I don't know what to say, but really, I still believe that a 32-team World Cup is the ultimate.
Yeah, the expansion.
I'm just an old school person. What do I know? Quickly before we take a break, let's really talk about something that's been pressing on the minds of a lot of Nigerians. the small issue of a certain Kelechi Iheanacho, boy wonder of Nigerian football over the past 5 years after breaking into the limelight with sterling performance in the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. I think that was in 2011, I think. 2000, yeah, so a while back actually. When he moved to Manchester City, a lot of people thought it was a very bad idea. They said Manchester City had no history of promoting youth players from their ranks. Their club flush with cash. They would rather buy players at field positions than to groom them from the ranks. It seems that assertion is beginning to bear fruit now, because over the past few months, Kelechi Iheanacho has been a big part player, we'll be putting it nicely. He's barely gotten any game time at all. And a lot of people are saying that, maybe in a bit to save his career, it is time for him to start thinking that, yes, maybe my time at Manchester City has come to an end. I should start looking elsewhere, maybe the German Bundesliga or another club in England. Right. We hear that it might be part of the deal to bring Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang from Borussia Dortmund to Manchester City, so he might be going to Dortmund. But he's 21. Isn't this a bit rash? To start thinking that he's proven before that he can play at that level. Should he stay?
He has. I think the challenge for him, and I'm sure he also realized it, is that he's now not competing against older players. They brought a lot of younger players as well, to City. Yeah, so if he's not getting any time, even with the young core that's there, so it's either one of two things. It's either he's not playing to the level that satisfies the coach, or the coach doesn't even want him. Because if he was on the team and everyone there was older than him and he's not playing, then that's a different thing. There's a youth group that has been infused in the team, and if at all, Pep is giving the young ones a time to play, just not him. So I'm sure it has to either be that the coach doesn't believe that he is part of his system, or Kelechi just needs to step up. If Kelechi wants to take it upon himself to play better and harder than these other young guys that are there, then go for it. But I think for him to continue to develop as young as he is into probably one of the best players to come out of Nigeria, he needs to go where he can play.
Maybe is it a question that maybe is Nigeria overrating Kelechi Iheanacho's talent? Maybe that maybe he's punching above his weight. Maybe he's a good player, a decent player, but not a fantastic player. So maybe Manchester City might just be too much for him, and he should probably look elsewhere. Do you agree with that assertion?
I would say I would agree only if Kelechi was doing what he was doing at second division, maybe Aston Villa, where there's no competition and he can just shine. But he's been doing it with City. There's a plethora
up until last year, he had the best goal to game ratio, goal to minutes ratio in the entire Europe.
Yeah, super sub.
As in, he played fewest number of minutes, but he scored the greatest number of goals. Yeah. Even more than Messi, even more than Cristiano Ronaldo, even more than Aubameyang. Which shows that if this boy is given game time, he can deliver. Well, let's take a key from American football or American sports. The stats don't lie.
No, they don't. And again, every coach has their own system and what they believe. To Pep, Kelechi might be talent, but might not be the talent he wants. And for any coach to succeed, he's not going to base his decisions off of just what he sees in practice. It has to be exactly what he believes will work for him and collectively for the team. I think what Kelechi probably needs to maybe do, or maybe what Pep is trying to see, is a lot more than just score goals. Because let's face it, they can buy people to score goals. But I think, for Kelechi, based on how young he is now, he's good. He's a good player. Is he great? That's a different conversation at a different time when he gets to that level. But for him to even be argued as one of the great ones, he needs to play.
So, okay, let me put it to you this way. As I see it, he has three choices. Does he stay and fight for his place?
Yeah.
Does he go out on loan to another club, get plenty of game time, show the coach, this is what I can do, this is how I can deliver, or does he seek a permanent transfer away from the club?
I think for Kelechi it's best just sometimes a new environment, something refreshing, adds a real boost of self-confidence. Because I can imagine how his confidence feels right now, where he was pretty much, like you said, shining and banging in goals in his short time on the field, and then a new coach comes in and brings all these other young guys. Even what's the Brazilian guy that's on City now?
Gabriel Jesus.
He was injured for a while,
Yeah.
and Kelechi never saw the field.
Yeah.
Never saw the field. And when the guy was supposedly back from injury, he comes back on the field. So that tells you it's all about how the coach feels. You know, his confidence in you to deliver what he's teaching. I don't think it's there with Kelechi. So I think he needs to just leave, go somewhere else.
Leave permanently or leave out on loan for some time, maybe 1 year or 2 year loan.
Yeah, go on loan, because you know, City is going to be one of those. Let the coach obviously when you go out on loan, there's going to be somebody's going to be watching you from your parent organization. You know, there's going to be a tab on you. So let them see what you can do. You know, regain the trust from the coach. You know, regain the trust and confidence from Pep. And if Pep sees that he's in another team or in another group or in another league doing exactly what he was doing before he came, yeah, you can easily call him back up. So no, don't. I'm not saying he should walk away entirely from City. You know, go on loan, do exactly what you want to do, bring that game up, and that way the coach has no other choice, no other option to bring him back in.
To bring him back. Okay, so that's a bit more expert opinion. He thinks Kelechi Iheanacho needs game time away from City, different environment, different coach, different set of circumstances to fight his way back into Manchester City. We've seen that work before for Nigerian players. Certain Victor Moses went out on loan to everywhere. He went to Stoke, he went to Liverpool, he went to West Ham, and now he's an indispensable member of Chelsea. Wednesday Night Football will take a very short break. We'll be right back. When we come back, it's everything American football and much more. Stick around. Welcome back. You're watching Wednesday Night Football. My name is Tunde Koiki. I've been here with Bimbola Bankole. Together we've been discussing a lot of interesting developments across the world, Nigeria and Africa. If you've missed out, of course, you can always catch up on the late highlights on this on this program's YouTube page. You can catch all that action later on. Let's move on, Bimbo. Let's talk about American football.
Yeah.
A lot of people are waiting for that. The NFL draft has come and gone, but prior to that, we were previewing some of the biggest talents who had Nigerian heritage. We talked about David Njoku and Chidobe, well, and a few other guys. And thankfully, the draft has come and gone, and these boys, well, it seems they have a new home.
Yes. The Nigerian flag flew high and with a lot of color and pride over the last NFL draft. Obviously, the NFL draft was on the 27th to the 29th of April. And the good thing is a lot of these kids now are already practicing, because the rookie camp is going on right now, so this weekend, already practicing on their new teams. So, yes, we did highlight a few players. Yeah. So I'm going to run through a list.
Yeah, let's start with David Njoku.
David Njoku ended up as the 29th pick of the 32 first-round drafts of the NFL. The reason David fell, before him, I believe there were 2 tight ends drafted before him. He was the 3rd tight end drafted. The teams that took the other 2 tight ends believed that based on their personnel, those were the perfect fits for them. And so he didn't fall into the Giants as we hoped. But he ended up going to Cleveland as a 29th pick overall. I was actually rooting for David to be up in the top 15. So the difference now between what he would have earned and what he's going to earn now as a rookie tight end for the Cleveland Browns, he's going to earn a little over $9 million for his 4-year contract, which is still fine. I mean, you know, a difference of about 7.
You asking me?
Which is still fine for a young athlete just after 3.5, 4 years in college. So $9 million for David. Great work. We'll actually come back to Cleveland, because Cleveland Browns, they have a fascination with Nigerians. All in all, the Cleveland Browns drafted 4 Nigerian athletes from the NFL draft. But we'll start from David. So I'll run through the list of players that were drafted in the draft itself over the 7 rounds. And then after that, we'll go through the list of undrafted free agents. The undrafted free agents are obviously highly talented players that didn't fall on draft day because the teams needed other personnel in different positions. So the first Nigerian drafted in this draft was David Njoku. He went to 29th as a tight end from University of Miami. He has ended up now on the roster for the Cleveland Browns. The second Nigerian picked was Obi Melefunwo, excuse my pronunciation. He's a safety, and he is regarded as probably one of the most athletic players in this draft. So he ends up now playing in Oakland, where they had another Nigerian great who played there in the same similar position of Nnamdi Asomugha. So Obi is now going to play safety for the Oakland Raiders, who will be moving to Vegas pretty soon. Then the third Nigerian pick, also in the second round, 60th pick overall, is Chidobe that we spoke about. Chidobe Awuzie ended up as another cornerback, another defensive player that was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys. He's also, an athletic player, and he's ready to play football as well.
Dallas Cowboys, isn't that the richest sports franchise in the world?
That is the richest sports franchise, man. Jerry Jones, big money, and big Texas. Football is all about, Texas is all about football. The fourth Nigerian drafted was drafted in the third round, the 65th pick overall, is Larry. We're in Nigeria, we know him as Larry. Larry Ogunjobi, defensive tackle. He played his college football in Charlotte, and he was the second Nigerian drafted by Cleveland. So he's going also to Cleveland to play defensive tackle for them there. The next Nigerian drafted was in the fourth round. His name is Samson Nebukam. Samson is an outside linebacker. He played his college there, football in Eastern Michigan. He has ended up being drafted now by the St. Louis LA Rams, actually. The LA Rams have drafted Samson Nebukam. The next Nigerian drafted, which is the sixth Nigerian, is Jermaine Ilermo. Now, Jermaine is an interesting story because Jermaine is a British Nigerian, whose father migrated to the UK. Then obviously has Jermaine. And then Jermaine didn't even know anything about football until a few years, not even up to, about 5-6 years ago. He saw a game that they came to play in Wembley, which is not too far from where he lived.
The NFL games played in Wembley.
In Wembley. And that inspired him to go to Texas. He actually went to Texas to go to school and play American football. So Jermaine, great story, great journey. Now
5 years ago, he wasn't even playing.
He was the average British kid. Just big. He couldn't really play soccer because he was a very big guy.
Or cricket.
And then he ends up
rugby.
Or rugby. He could have played rugby. Yeah, actually he did play rugby. And he went to watch a game at Wembley. Okay, I'm bored. I'm a college. I'm a young, growing guy. Let me go and see what this is all about. He fell in love with the sport, and now he's been drafted. He's one of the 2 Nigerian British players that have been drafted into the NFL. So Jermaine Ilermo is an offensive tackle. He has been drafted to play in Baltimore for the Baltimore Ravens. The other Nigerian drafted is Danny Isidora, offensive guard. Played in Miami, played with David Njoku. He has been drafted to play in the same position by the Minnesota Vikings. The last Nigerian drafted on draft day, or within the 7 rounds of draft, was Ukeme Igwe. He's an inside linebacker, played in Georgia Southern, and he was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, like I said earlier, the undrafted players, free agents, are equally talented players, but based on team needs, they weren't drafted in the 7 rounds. So there was a good rush for some more athletes in the undrafted days, which after the 3 days of NFL draft. The first Nigerian that went off was B.J. Bello. B.J. Bello is a linebacker. Went to school in Illinois State. He's the third Nigerian athlete that was drafted by the Cleveland Browns. So B.J. Bello joins David Njoku and Obanji. So he joins David Njoku and Larry Ogunjobi in Cleveland to play as a linebacker. Then the very next Nigerian drafted again is Kenneth Olugbode. He's a linebacker as well. He went to school in Colorado. He's the 4th Nigerian that was drafted by Cleveland. So they have a young core of new guys, all 4 of them of Nigerian descent.
Just as an aside, this, from what you know, was it like a conscious decision to draft these guys rather than Nigerian heritage?
No.
Because sometimes, it's just the same way some, European football clubs sign South Americans because they feel
what they do,
South Americans guys are really good, they are skillful, blah blah blah. Or some people like to sign Africans before they feel they're stronger, blah blah blah. Could it have been a consideration for the Cleveland Browns?
Well, knowing the way the United States looks at like hiring and employment, they never base it on your nationality and or your race. Even if somehow they do, it's not on paper. So I think for anything, let's not take away the talent of these guys. I think they drafted them based on their talent. And evaluation is also a key thing in drafting NFL players. When they evaluate players that they want to bring to the organization, let's be honest, these kids will be richer than they've ever been in their lives.
True.
So for them to bring them on, to pay them these high salaries,
it's not charity.
No, it's not. They look at them from every angle. They put all these young kids on the microscopic investigation and background checks and who they hang out with.
Who's smoking,
exactly. So
where's the baby mama?
Yeah. So for many of these guys
who's in the gang,
this kind of thing. So for many of these guys that end up on these teams, it all stems from their upbringing and how they have been cultured and structured by their families. So having some of these Nigerian guys that end up in the NFL, it's part of their talent and part structure. Because if they were talented and had no structure, they wouldn't even be on these teams in the first place. Okay. So like I said, maybe it's part of their unwritten, standard of operation. Like, okay, is he African? Is he Nigerian? You Nigerians are very disciplined. So maybe it is, but that would never be stated by the NFL.
What about these guys who didn't make the draft,
yes.
but subsequently get drafted? How much do they stand to make? Considering the fact that they were not in the main draft.
Yes.
But they've also been signed up, but. You don't expect them to make the big.
No, they're not making big bucks. They're not making. Well, let me not say that. Let me not say they're not making big bucks. They're not making in the same salary bracket as the guys that went in the first round. And even the undrafted free agents can only sign for 3 years. Yeah, 3 years.
Not 4.
Not 4. While the other guys automatically have to play for those 4 years, and that's their contract anyways. So the least an undrafted free agent earns is called the veterans minimum, which is about $460,000, per year. So which isn't bad.
That's one that some people on Wall Street earn.
Which isn't bad. So there's a few other guys. Folarin Orimolade, outside linebacker, went to school in Dortmund, and he's also playing with the Rams as well. So the Rams took 2 Nigerians. Francis Onwusu, a wide receiver, went to school in Stanford. He's going to be playing his wide receiver role now for Miami. So kudos to him. And Jay Ajayi, who's also Nigerian, is there as well. There's also Sam Ewonike, an outside linebacker, went to school in Coastal Carolina. Eventually ends up at the New York Giants. And then the last one that was drafted is Quincy Adeboyejo, another wide receiver, went to school in Ole Miss, Mississippi, and he's also going to Baltimore. So Baltimore picked 2 Nigerians, the Rams picked 2 Nigerians, Cleveland picked 4 Nigerians on their team. So congratulations to these guys. Do your thing, play NFL, and have fun.
Okay, we love Cleveland, by the way. We absolutely love Cleveland. So finally, Bimbo, on this matter.
Yeah.
Would you say it was a good draft, man?
Yeah, I think it was a well-represented draft for the Nigerian athletes.
From what you said so far, I think by my last count, that was what, 10?
10 guys, yes. 10 guys went. So I think it's a very good draft. I mean, for Nigerian athletes, some of them, again, at least 2 or 3 of them, never really playing from the proper, system of American football, maybe from secondary school or primary school. Many of these kids picked up the sport later because they end up on a team from the NFL. So that goes to show you, when a Nigerian athlete puts his mind to something, we get it done. We get it done.
And that question I asked you a few weeks ago, I have to ask you again.
Yeah.
Will we one day see in Nigeria #1 draft pick?
We will. I think every season we're getting closer and closer and closer to seeing a top draft pick being a Nigerian athlete. And I was listening to an interview the other day by a movie director, M. Night Shyamalan. M. Night Shyamalan was talking about a run. I think it was a distance. I can't remember the exact distance it was. He said until the first person ran that distance, nobody had run it before ever on anywhere in the world. Then it took that person running the distance for 17 other people to pass it. And what he said was that before that, the human brain, we never thought, okay, we'll run it, we're not going to do it. But the way the human brain and humanity works is that as soon as one person does it, we now believe, okay, I can do it. You know, this guy has done it.
Like pure water business in Nigeria. Once one person starts making money,
I can sell pure water too.
Yeah, yep.
So I think when a Nigerian athlete tells himself, I will be the first draft pick come next year, come 2 years, come 3 years, and he goes through the structure and his training and the discipline that it takes for you to become that, I think all the other guys will follow suit. We just need one of you guys out there. So that obviously those of you that are still in college now, train hard, get there, tell yourself you want to be the first Nigerian NFL draft. You'll be in history forever. I mean, NFL will go on forever. You'll go down in history as the first Nigerian that won at the NFL draft.
Well, Bimbola is giving his own advice. He says you should train hard. But if you ask me, I say you should eat more food on holiday. Work for Anthony Joshua. It'll definitely work for you.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you so much. That's been Wednesday Night Football. It's been entertaining, as always. Thank you so much, Bimbo. Always a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Always interesting insights from Bimbola, from Bimbola Bankole. And most importantly, thank you for tuning in and watching. Wednesday Night Football will make another return next week. My name is Tunde. Bye-bye.